Hello and welcome to episode 72 of the Pure Tokyoscope Podcast. I am Patrick Macias, the author of Tokyoscope, the Japanese cult film companion.
And I'm Matt Alt, the author of Pure Invention, How Japan Made the Modern World. Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate, Patrick.
Life Day? Is that what they call it on Kashyyyk, the Wookiee planet?
Are you with, what was his name? Chunkles? Chucky? What was that? Chewy?
Lumpy, Matt. Don't you know in Wikipedia his name is Lumpy?
Wikipedia? Is there a Wikipedia?
Oh, you better believe there's a Wikipedia, man.
I know there is. I don't even want to go there. All I know is that Lumpy's uncle was watching Wookiee porn, and that's kind of like stuck with me over all of these almost 50 years since I originally saw that on TV.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, and Grumpy the Wookiee.
Looking at something that, elderly Wookiees probably shouldn't be or should be looking at, depending on how you feel about elder Wookiee porn.
Interspecies? What do you call that?
It's not interspecies. It's his. Oh, was it? Actually, what was he watching?
It was Diane Carroll. It was soul songstress Diane Carroll, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, that is interspecies. Oh my God.
This was children's entertainment, Matt. They showed this to children on national TV.
I didn't make it. I just report it. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it is etched into my brain, although I think I edited that particular detail out.
And this is our Star Wars podcast. We do this every week. We talk about how great Star Wars movies are, especially the new ones like The Mandalorian and
You started this by saying Life Day. I was thinking more like the carousel from Logan's Run. I think we're all kind of reaching that. We've actually far exceeded that age. Maybe we're through the carousel. I don't know.
Renewal, Matt. Renewal. Yeah, speaking of Logan's Run, which is set like in a post-apocalyptic America, aren't you in a pre-apocalyptic America right now?
Or maybe post-apocalyptic, depending on how the later, historians start to define the decline and fall of the United States. Yes, I'm in a secret bunker deep beneath the crust of the east coast of America near the nation's capital. I am preparing for Y2K. Has that already come and gone?
Is your computer telling you to seek sanctuary and find the runners? Is that what's going on?
Actually, my computer, now we're actually living in a more demon seed type of AI apocalypse, where we're all kind of trapped inside and this computer is telling us what to do and like trying to make babies with us and things like that, little computer babies. It would be nice, however, this being 2023, that we could make a reference that is after 1973. We should kind of work on that. Or maybe we shouldn't.
Demon Seed is 1978, so we're getting closer.
Okay, we're
getting a little bit closer.
And wasn't the holiday special 78?
It sure was, yeah.
So we're kind of working our way up toward 2023, just another couple decades and we'll be there.
I'm sure you'll drop a few rhymes. I'm sure you'll bust some PM Dawn or something like that and bring some of that hip-hop
I was just
flavor.
about to drop a Mazinger Z Satan Claus X6 or whatever that Kikaiju that he fought was that looked like Santa Claus. But that's actually going back in time to like 1970,
73 or something like that. Are we going back in time, Matt?
Yes. But then again, the average age of a listener on this podcast is at least 83. So, I think these references are resonating. They're hitting in the way that they should. No, Christmas is a time to reflect, It's a time to spend with family, to dust off your toy collection, which is what I've been doing. I've been dusting off my toy collection here. Every time I come home, my mom gives me one of those little feather mops and I have to go brush off all of my collection of jumbo Machinders.
You've been posting some hot pics of some deep cuts from your attic.
Yeah, every time I come back, I'm just like posting pictures. I've actually been told on several occasions that I really should start like my own kind of just 1 to 2 minute long podcast kind of thing where I pick up an object from my collection or even not from my collection and just riff on it for a minute or two.
Hey, what about me?
Well, Patrick, you are one of the objects in my collection. I'll pick you up and riff on you. How does that sound?
Yeah, it's a bit spooky because I'm like, holy Toledo, Matt's got like a stack of Takutoku Valkyries from like floor to ceiling. Why didn't you tell me any about that? Why don't you break a brother off, Matt?
This is nothing compared to like real collectors. I just studied this. I don't live. I wasn't born to it. Actually, there are collectors out there who have like really, really stellar, spectacular, like multi-hundred Takutoku, And I actually visited one up in Boston, an old friend of mine who specializes in collecting the rarest of the rare stuff. His name is Warren, and he is an architect, and he's much older than I am. He's 80, and I had the pleasure of dropping by to visit him, and he showed me some incredible. His stuff is so rare. He custom makes these acrylic cases for each one of his toys. So it's like this, I don't know, it's like a cryo sleep container when he pulls these things out from his shelves or out of boxes or drawers. It's really amazing.
Wow, I wish I had the time to make acrylic cases for all my Microman and stuff like that. My sarcophagi or something?
Yes, exactly. No, it's like that. Yeah, exactly. Like your Micromans that come in literal sarcophagi. He's making kind of translucent acrylic ones for his collection. When 80 years old I reach, I hope that my collection is as awesomely curated as his was. And he shows you this isn't age; it's just a number. You know, he wasn't even in the sweet spot of growing up on this stuff as a kid. He just thought it was awesome when he was already well into adulthood and bought it, started buying it and collecting and curating it. And it's really awesome. And he's actually going to have a show of a bunch of his toys in the Boston area sometime next year. I will be talking about that whenever I have information, locale, and that sort of stuff.
I guess Sid and Marty Krofft won't be producing that show, will
No,
they? Okay,
they should
not
be
this year. Yeah,
they should be. I think Lumpy and Grumpy of the Wookiee Planet are going to be producing it if we're lucky.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So Christmas, yes, it's a time to reflect, but it's also a time to drink a lot and get hungover, which is kind of what I am today. Last night was the Harajuku Death Squad Halloween party, so I'm.
Wow! Tell me about this. It was Halloween party in December.
Well, that's how hungover I am. Yes, I thought it was Halloween in December, but no, it was just Shibuya on a Saturday night.
How was it? Were you? Wait a second. I thought Shibuya banned drinking. Were you breaking the law?
No, I don't know what was going on, but they had blocked off the Hachiko exit. There were like 1 million people in the station who couldn't get out. They only had like one exit. I think the mayor's deliberately trying to sabotage Shibuya just as a whole now, just like every weekend.
Well, I saw some pictures of it, and we're recording this on December 23rd or so, and the weekend has already started in Japan at this point. And I think it's a combination of the fact that they've been really seriously renovating Shibuya Station and just really horrific management on the part of the Shibuya, municipal board or whoever the heck. Who was it? Remember we were talking about them last time. It's like the seal of Shibuya.
The committee, yes. It's a committee to keep me off the block because I say my rhymes loud and I say them nonstop.
You're too dangerous. Your rhymes are too dangerous for Shibuya, Patrick. But this is, you're like old just like I am. I never am on the streets at night anymore in Shibuya. So I'm very proud of you for getting out there and representing for our demographic and our age group.
Yeah, I was just going out there. It must have been like 6 o'clock and they had like completely like borked the station and like blocked the exits. And
I don't get it.
It was like a bunch of cattle at a roundup, dude. I'd never seen anything like it. It's a lonely Christmas here without you, Matt. Let me just say that right now.
I know. I'm like out in the suburbs of America and everything's like, I'm just sitting here with a Christmas tree, drinking my hot chocolate wearing my jammies.
Waiting for the missile silos to open up.
Exactly. There's no mistletoe in the in the ancestral alt home, just Jumbo Machinder missiles. But that's fine. I'll kiss anybody underneath the bundle of Jumbo Machinder missiles. As much as I enjoy shooting the breeze with you, there are some very important topics that we need to discuss on today's episode, are there not?
There are. Yeah, we've got news, man. We've got some things that went down. We took a break last week because it was just too hectic and chaotic. The hustle and bustle of the holiday season and that sort of thing. So you'll have to forgive us, all of you named Chris out there.
all 87 of you named Chris in our listenership pool. Yes.
Oh, and Nicholas McCarthy, who DM'd me to say I listen to your show and my name isn't Chris. So here's some devil horns over to Nicholas McCarthy.
Way to go, Nicholas. Way to go for not having the name Chris.
Saint Nicholas. Yes, very festive this time of
It's
year.
It's true. It's very timely. It's for the season.
Yeah. So I guess like the big news in Godzilla land. Well, I mean, there's lots of things going on in Godzilla land, especially like a crossover with McDonald land. Have you seen this? McDonald's Japan is doing this crazy Godzilla versus McDonald's commercial campaign. Every couple of days, they're dropping these new commercials, and the whole thing is revolving around those Medicom bear bricks. Like, it's really elaborate.
I don't get that. I don't listen. I'm just gonna look. I'm sorry, Medicom. I actually really like you as a company, and I'm also sorry to whoever designed these bear brick things. But I never got them. I just never understood what the allure was. They make for those just tuning in. Bear bricks are little little, they're about a little bit bigger than a Lego man. And they're kind of inspired by that, but they're like, they have the little legs and the they got the little pot belly and teddy bear ears. And they come in about 6 bazillion different variations. Like they're just kind of a palette for artists to make their own kind of, individual versions of them.
They must have been doing it for almost like 20 years now. And people go nuts for these things. People collect the bejesus out of them. And they set the tone for kind of this crossover between designer urban vinyl and the kind of more like otaku, like toy geek space.
Those of a certain collector's age bracket may remember they actually started out as Kubricks, like spelled like Stanley Kubrick's, and they really were like oversized Lego men. And Medicom was using those and those bodies to make all sorts of little play sets. There was like a Tetsugen 28 Gigantor one, and there was like a little Jimmy Sparks, and there was like a Votoms one with those robots, and like all sorts. And then for some reason they decided to do these teddy bear ones, and those now the Kubricks, probably because they were getting sued by the Kubrick estate, they aren't being made anymore. It's just the Bear Bricks, and they're everywhere. And why Bear Bricks and Godzilla and McDonald's?
Why not? Yeah, as Ming the Merciless says in Flash Gordon.
Are they sold in Happy Meals? How are they vended? How does that work?
This is crazy because everyone wants them because, well, first of all, it's like some deep cuts. It's Godzilla. It's a little Bear Brick Godzilla, but it's also but the commercial explains the lineup, so we'll just let the voiceover tell the story here.
ハンバーグはそしてゴジラが夢のコラボだ欲しい商品応募準備またねマクドナルド限定ベアブリック応募しましょうよトロットットット
Okay, that is what it is. Great, good for you. But can I just say Godzilla is really having a moment right now.
Okay, but this is what's crazy is not only is it like, Godzilla mania all over again because of Godzilla -1 and whatever else, the 70th anniversary of Godzilla is happening. So like we're getting showered with radioactive Godzilla merch. It's like these commercials have been designed by like a maniac because they're using like real deep Easter eggs. They're not focusing on the new Godzilla -1 or even like classic Godzilla. They're going for like 1990s Godzilla references. They're using the font from Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
Wow.
They're using like exact framing and lighting from like the 1994 Godzilla versus Mothra when the twin fairies show up.
グリマス、バーディー、ハンバーグラー、そしてゴジラ。今目覚めたのです。ベアブリックになって。
What I like about this is that it doesn't feel done by committee. It feels like, or if it is done by committee, it's a committee of totally batshit crazy people, which I completely support. I like the kind of authenticity of this, although I don't quite understand what it means. But you know what? You don't have to understand.
Don't think, Matt. Feel.
Well, like I was saying, Godzilla is really having a moment right now because Godzilla -1, like it hit at least number 3 at the American box office. It's doing gangbusters. I've never seen critical acclaim for a film like this before.
They're starting to nominate it for like awards in America, like best special effects, best foreign film, best post-war Japanese film with no post-war occupation forces. I think.
Let me just, but it's funny. Let me just state this for the record. That I still the issues I brought up with the film that I personally have with it, that I was talking about in my newsletter, and that you and I talked about here, namely that it's set in the post-war era, but there's no sign of the occupation forces at all, and no real explanation of why they're not there. That satisfies me anyway. That's my own personal feeling. It was obviously the right move for director Yamazaki to take because the film is unbelievably popular, and neither Japanese audiences nor American audiences seem to care about this historic deficiency. So well done, well played.
Is this like Bohemian Rhapsody when no one cared that Freddie Mercury looked like Mr. Robot with a mustache and it made like $2 billion anyway?
Yes, that was a little bit of revisionist history too, yes.
I still have McDonald's on the brain, Matt. I'm really sorry. It came to me in a vision. It's Grimace, Hamburglar, and Birdie the Early Bird and Godzilla. Those are the figures that Medicom is making. And you can only get them by applying for lottery on the McDonald's app. So everyone's like frothing at the mouth. Everyone thought they would just be given out in Happy Meals, right? But you have to like jump through all these like flaming hoops to get them.
So it's like applying for a visa in Japan, basically, is what you're saying.
You have to show your work history. You have to show your tax tax payments. You have to show your My Number card. You have to hire a lawyer who can file all the paperwork for you to get Birdie the early bird.
Oh, the secondary market for these and the tertiary and the quaternary markets for these are going to be insane.
But they're still like dropping like new like deep cut commercials like every couple of days, and I'm subtitling them and putting them up on Twitter.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
So if you want to hear like a weird like semi-human voice going, "Buddy, hamburger, grimace."
Is it true that McDonald's shakes are made of a digestible polymer? Or did I just dream that? I don't know.
Is that Polymer, the Tatsunoko hero? What's his name? Hurricane Polymer?
I'm going to just say, after years of not going there, like literally, like probably like more than a decade, I was just screwed. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I was going to a shoot and I was really hungry and I got one of those Egg McMuffin sandwiches and man, wow. Why have I not been eating these? And then I kind of understood why I stopped.
Now that I'm hungover, I'm just really wishing like Birdie the early bird would just like drive by and drop one of those on my house.
I don't want to think about how Birdie would drop something on your house. It's like, I don't want to think about that.
The wires are all crossed, but yes, there is more Godzilla themed news here in the works.
Yes, because it was the best of times in terms of Godzilla crossover premiums, and the worst of times in terms of us losing someone critical to the Godzilla legacy, right?
Yeah, we lost Kenpachiro Satsuma, Godzilla suit actor. He was the third man to wear the Lizard King rubber suit, and I think maybe the second most influential one because Satsuma's Godzilla, which started in 1984 with that Return of Godzilla 1985, as it's sometimes known movie. He really turned Godzilla back to this kind of like, dark, evil, more sinister, more animalistic kind of character that we sort of see now,
Yes.
in portrayals of Godzilla, like in Godzilla -1, like a dark, scary Godzilla, whereas Godzilla had kind of become like a superhero.
His resume is like one of the single most awe-inspiring things I've ever read. Like Godzilla versus Hedorah, he's Hedorah.
He's the smog monster, yeah.
Godzilla versus Gigan, he's Gigan. Godzilla versus Megalon, Patrick. Are you listening to me? He's Gigan again. Zone Fighter, he's Gigan. Gigan's one of my favorite kaijus. So this is like already cool to begin with, but man, it's just going down the list. Biollante, King Ghidorah.
Maybe the most dangerous thing on his resume is the North Korean kaiju film Pulgasari. He was Pulgasari, Matt.
Right. And so like just to set the stage here for listeners who aren't familiar with this, Pulgasari is literally a North Korean movie, kaiju movie. Kim Jong-il, I believe, was behind. Didn't they kidnap the entire cast?
Something like that, yeah.
No, I'm serious. They like the Toho people came over of their own free will, but they kidnapped like the stars from Korea. They like lured them in by a pretense or something. It's amazing, amazing story and an amazing, amazing movie.
Yeah, and Satsuma starred in many amazing movies. Again, he was Godzilla for a hot streak there during the 90s. That era that these McDonald's commercials are referencing actually would be the Satsuma era from like the 80s to the 90s to the early 2000s. So
I love the 80s, Patrick, because I saw Stranger Things. I'm going to love the 90s because what is the 90s based thing kids are looking at that love the 90s these days?
Grunge. I see like a lot of Waldos like in Nirvana shirts.
I don't even know anymore. If you remember the 80s and 90s, you weren't there, man.
Yeah, no, and I was walking around Shibuya last night and there's like an indie movie theater playing this obscure cult film from the 90s that no one knows about called Reservoir Dogs.
Who's in that? Well, back to the topic at hand. I love the 90s Godzilla movies. I was actually in Japan when Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 came out and saw that. That was the first Godzilla film I saw in the theater in Japan. And that's, Satsuma is Godzilla in that. So I feel like a lot of my youth is tied up in his portrayals. So this is a really sad thing. I'm really bummed about it.
Yeah, and the thing about Satsuma is he made it over to America a bunch of times to like the G-Fest convention. So there's lots of people got to meet him. Lots of people got to take pictures with him. There's a video of him showing little kids how to walk like Godzilla. So that's really great that people, got to have that one-on-one experience with him. Okay, so yeah, R.I.P. Kenpachiro Satsuma, but Godzilla will live forever in our hearts and at McDonald's.
Yes, he will. And, speaking of things that will live forever, I just want to set this next and last piece of news up by saying that this is based around something that literally brought me to Japan. We're going to talk about a piece of news here that is so earth-shattering. There's many things going on the planet right now. Some are bad, some are good, some are neutral. But this is spectacular. It involves a toy series.
Why is it always toys with you, man?
I know. I should write a book about it, or 2 or 3. But Bandai, have you heard of them? Do you know these guys? Bandai, the toy company, has just announced that they are resurrecting the Jumbo Machinders series.
You mean the Shogun Warriors?
I do. 2-foot tall plastic polyethylene, same material used to make shampoo bottles.
And the same material they used to make strawberry milkshakes at McDonald's, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. So Jumbo Machinders, it was a toy series that was launched in 1972 with Mazinger Z. It was the first toy made of Mazinger Z. The Jumbo Machinders actually predate the Chogoki and the die-cast versions of the toys that are arguably more popular, famous these days. But they were 2 feet tall. They're made of plastic. They're awesome. They had all these accessory arms you could put on and things like that.
日本に上陸アイアンカッターパンチジャンボマシンダーパワーアップ敗北を知らないマジンガー Z ジェットスクランダー新発売
There are many Jumbo Machinders. The series continued on for decades. It went on arguably until the early 90s if you count non-Bandai versions. I love the Jumbo Machinders. They're like my Raisen Detra. Like my introduction to Japan as a 5-year-old kid was when my grandmother gave me a Shogun Warriors Geta Dragon that really just kind of, baked my noodle, so to speak.
Do you mean Dragoon?
I mean Dragoon. Do you remember those? Like it shot these axes that could literally raise a welt if you like. If there's no safety standards at all back then. I'm lucky I didn't choke to death on a Battlestar Galactica missile or something like that because we were definitely shooting them at each other. So Bandai has announced that they are resurrecting the Jumbo Machinder line with Mazinger Z, the very first one from 1972, and they are making a kind of modernized new version of it. It looks just like the old one, but it has like new features. It actually can shoot its fists, which the old one couldn't, and it comes with a lot more missiles and some accessories.
There are some cosmetic differences, right? It's not a one-to-one. I feel like it's been modernized slightly.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say. It looks pretty close. I think if you're just kind of nostalgic and remembering the original Mazinger Z, it'll really do it for you. But I'm sure they have built in little differences so that you can't pass off this new one as the original.
Yeah, the box will have like Taylor Swift or like Billie Eilish playing with it instead of a little Japanese kid, is my understanding.
One can dream, Patrick. One can dream. But this actually isn't the first time that Bandai has reissued the Jumbo Machinder. Like in the 90s, a Bandai spin-off company, or I don't know what you want to call it, umbrella company. It's like one of their little like sister companies called Uni5 reissued a bunch of Jumbo Machinders that looked a lot like the old ones, but were slightly different. So is this kind of that repurposed? Is it new? I don't know. I have literally asked Bandai to put us in touch so that we can interview the people responsible for this because the world needs to know.
Are these going to be on the open market, or is this going to be a thing where we have to jump to a flaming hoop?
They are going up for pre-sale in January and not being released till August. So that gives us at least 8 months to corner the market on these and become rich beyond our wildest dreams.
And also to save money, because the original Shogun Warriors in America, I believe, retailed for like $13, which was a lot of money back then. But now, how much are they going for?
Actually, if you account for inflation, that's something like $130 now or something. Somebody actually on the Toy Box DX group on Facebook calculated it. And it's not, so these are going to be selling for 19,800 yen, which I believe at current exchange rate is something like $150 or something like that.
Mamma mia.
I know. Well, no, but so the originals go for astounding sums. Like it's at least $1,000 for a Mazinger Z. And for others in that series, like depending on what you're talking about, like the most desirable ones like Leopardon from Spider-Man, you're looking like more than $10,000. It's crazy. And there's a few really, really outliers like the bad guys, Kikaiju, like Garada K7, one of those auctioned at Mandarake for almost $250,000 this year.
So this is putting them back in people's midst at slightly more affordable prices, if not exactly bargain prices. So
save up those Yenjimins, buyers. It's your chance to get a piece of Japanese toy history. Bandai should be paying me for this. I'm really flogging this thing, but it's exciting. I'm excited. I love Jumbo Machinders. I want them to be successful.
I must have gotten the Great Mazinger Shogun Warrior for like Christmas 1977 or 78 or something like that. Every kid I knew had at least one because again, $13 was a lot of bread back then, and they were big size too. So one was enough.
They literally are Christmas to me. I mean, I got one for my birthday in 78 or 9 or something like that, and I think I might have gotten another one for Christmas Christmas after that. But yeah, they were kind of a rare treat because they were so expensive, and they always got thrown out when people grew up because they were so big, and like your mom or your dad would go cleaning up, the basement or whatever and toss them out. So,
Mom, where's my Deimos? Where's my Dangard Ace, Mom?
I know. I had to reacquire them as an adult. It was the funny thing is like the prices have scaled up. Like it was impossible to imagine paying $13 for something out of my own money, as a kid. And now they're like $1,300, and it's still equally impossible for me to imagine paying for them out of my own money, because my wife would kill me.
Imagine you enter the world of the Shogun warriors. They're on the move. There's Raideen with Delta Wing missiles, Dragoon with a star shooter, and Mazinga with a rocket launcher. The Shoguns. Imagine you command them to defend freedom, protect justice, and challenge evil. The Shoguns. They're ready to strike when you are. Shogun warriors, Mazinga, Dragoon, Raideen, equipped with their own gear, each sold separately from Mattel.
Right now, they've only announced Mazinger Z, but theoretically, if this is popular enough, they might do other ones.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. I mean, Great Mazinger is a no-brainer because he came out. Then, the sky's the limit. Grandizer, that's another really popular one. I would love to see them reissue the Japanese Grandizer. It's so much better than the one Mattel Europe released as part of the Shogun Warriors line there. Mattel kind of dumbed down to save on costing. They made a lot of changes. The Japanese ones are much more complicated than the American ones are, and arguably a lot cooler. So maybe we'll see some of those more complex ones coming out again. Bandai gave me a Christmas present by reissuing these. Thank you, Bandai.
What's interesting is also Shogun is back, baby. There's like a Shogun remake series that I understand is in the works. So this might lead to like a revival in the word Shogun, which means Shogun Steakhouse, Matt. There might be more Shogun Steakhouses across America. I can get work as like a teppan cook or something like that.
You should.
I can do the shrimp flip at a Shogun Steakhouse if I need extra money to buy Shogun Warriors.
I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on. Just make my sake teeny strong.
The cooks are very entertaining as well as very personable.
The prices are great.
I've eaten here 14 times and it's really exciting. I love the food.
I've never been entertained and served such good food at one time.
I'm really enjoying the atmosphere here.
The other people at the table make it so much fun. I've never eaten here before, but it is really great and I really enjoy it. It's very entertaining.
The portions are huge. You never leave hungry.
North Alabama's choice for fine Japanese cuisine, Shogun Japanese Steakhouse on University Drive.
Okay, thank you so much for listening to the Pure Tokyoscope podcast. We will be back in 2024 with more episodes, so thanks so much for listening.
The far, far future of 2024. I couldn't even imagine that as a kid, but yet here we are.
Well, I'll be living in giant domes with like shopping mall-like interiors, wearing like red and green tunics.
Yes. So live from my parents' basement, I found my way back here again. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for listening, and catch you in 2024.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
マクドナルド限定夢のベアブリック抽選販売応募受付中